your feet. Today, I'm going to talk about two. All right, I'm going to talk about the clock plan and the triangle plan. Let's start with the clock plan. The clock plan's pattern is time. So we're going to create smaller chunks using time. All right, how do I separate my ideas using time as a pattern? Let me give you some examples. So for example, if I'm talking about my career, I could talk about my career when I graduated, my career 20 years ago, and now. Or I could talk about what I did in the 1990s. I could talk about what I did in 2000 and what I did in 2020. If I'm in Singapore, so I can talk about the history of Singapore when it was a British colony, at the point of independence and now post-independence. You get the idea? The pattern here is time. Give you more examples. At work, when we're doing a project, we can talk about a project in terms of the design phase, a develop phase, or the implement phase. When we're talking about risk or benefits, we can talk about the immediate risk, the short-term risk, the long-term risk, all right? Or when we're talking about when a person comes into an organization, what's their, what would they do at the start or the early part of their career, in the middle part of the career, and the later part of their career in the organization, yeah? So many different ways of separating your ideas using the pattern of time. Are these the only ways? No, there are many other different ways of doing that, okay? So what I would like you to do is this. What I like you to do is, I would like you to write down the 3 clock or time pegs, that's what we call it, pegs, or buckets, or keywords that you would use to answer that question, tell me about yourself. So if you've got that question, tell me about yourself, and you're using the clock plan, and I'm just showing this slide again for you to get some ideas. You don't have to use any of this. You can come up with your own, right? Tell me or write down on your sheet of paper, what would be the 3 pegs, keywords, or key points you would use when you're using the clock plan. Okay. I'll leave it here. I'll keep quiet for a moment and give you about 30 seconds to write down those pegs. And if you have all written them down and you would like to get some feedback on those 3 pegs or points, please let me put it in chat so that I can help you do that. Okay, that's 30 seconds, so I can check it for you. So go ahead, put it on chat, the 3 pegs or points or keywords that you have picked for your tell me about yourself using the clock plan. Or you can unmute and ask me if those are the 3. Check with me. Anyone?
Sharmini, in this aspect, I can say it's like married, middle age, and probably a male.
Okay, all right. That could be one. Maybe I'll try with you, and I'll try with anybody else. So if I were to say, if I go single, married, what would be the last one?
Single, married. married. Sorry, single, married, and then
Single, married, and then
divorce.
hiya, Kingwa. So
Single, married. What else?
Single,
yeah, divorce also. Sorry.
single, married, and got baby.
Got baby. Yes, Lomang, correct.
Family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with family.
Okay.
Not that divorce is wrong. Divorce is another
yes,
bad.
it's not a good. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, but it feels a bit like negative, right? So okay, another one. If I say morning, afternoon,
Evening.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You go child, teenager,
Adult.
Yeah, right. So you notice that the pattern comes very easily once you have got the pegs, the parts come very easily once you have a pattern to follow. It becomes very, very easy to fill in the blanks, so to speak, right? So if I were to say, tell me about yourself, I can say, the start of my career, midway through my career, and where it is right now, right? Tell me about yourself. I could also say what else can I say? I can say when I first started as a trainer, when I moved to Singapore as a trainer, and then now as I start my own firm, right? So there's many different ways to do it, because what it does, it helps us focus on a specific 3 areas that I want to talk about. And it is very, very useful, especially when you have a lot of subject matter knowledge, isn't it? Right? Kengwa, Lomang, Lim Chun, and all of us here, Makara, Pise, and everyone who's here, right? We all have a lot of knowledge. We all have a lot of information. And that is the challenge. When we are asked a question, we don't know where to go and how to ask, right? We go a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, and it can go all over the place, right? But the minute we get a guidance, the minute we know the roadmap, then it becomes very, very easy for us to focus our response to when I first got into training, now when I moved to Singapore as a trainer, and now as I start my own firm. Yeah, it becomes more focused. Okay, so I'm going to, then you might ask me, hey, Sham, very nice, you've got those 3 points. Now, how do I, craft a message? How do I craft my answer using those 3 points? Well, let me give you a demonstration. Kengwa and I were talking about, virtual learning and classroom learning, and what's the difference with it. And I was talking about Kengwa about this question that I kept getting very, very frequently. And I thought it would be a good way for us to demonstrate how we can use the structure, the 3 points, and then how to answer using the 3 points. So remember, what is the answer? Separation of the answers, and then moving your listener through the answer. So Kengwa, can you ask me that question, we were talking about?
I think the question is normally asked is how do you make virtual learning effective?
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
Now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very, very, very important question. I think it's a question that's very current. And this is what I have to say. I think virtual learning can be as effective as face-to-face training, in some instances even more effective, right? And I'll tell you 3 things that I do, the 3 things that I do when I to make it effective in terms of its when I prepare, during, and post. Now, in the preparation stage, it's very important to do 2 things. One, be familiar with the technology that you're using. So technology could be platforms, it could be apps, and it's very important for us to be fluent with it so that we don't have to worry about what can go wrong. So we need to know in order to support our learners. The second thing that we need to know during the preparation is content. Now, what worked well in face-to-face doesn't really work very well, or necessarily work well when you are doing virtual. So you need to adjust the content to suit virtual. Okay, so those are some things that we need to do in preparation to make the thing to make virtual.